everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jessica Samawi, and in today's video we're going to be talking about my 5 tips on how to prepare to apply to dental school. Let's begin. Tip number 1. Let's talk about some extracurriculars that you could add to your application. Shadowing. You need at least 100 hours of shadowing in order to apply to dental school. In the ADSAS application, there's actually a part where you submit the dentist that you were shadowing, how many hours you got from that dentist. Also, they do accept dental assisting hours as well. That actually counts as shadowing as well, even if it's paid. Even if you're unable to get a dental assisting job, it's good to put down any other type of job you have. It shows you time managed well, especially throughout the course of the school year as well. Next, let's talk about the leadership roles that you may have. It's good to try to get some leadership roles in the student organizations on campus. For me, I was the vice president of the pre-dental club, and I also founded one of my own organizations. So definitely being a part of those clubs, even if you're just an active member, it definitely looks great on your application, and you actually have to submit it. And there's actually a part of the application where you submit each activity that you do. So definitely keep that in mind throughout your 4 years of your collegiate career. Next, let's talk about research. I know some people say you have to do research, some people say you don't. Me personally, I did it for 2 years. I actually asked the professor that I was working with my research to write me a letter of recommendation. And she did. So definitely building those kinds of relationships with professors, and research gives you more one-on-one time to build a relationship with a professor. I'm coming from a university where there's like 200 plus students in my class. So if you have that kind of issue, definitely consider doing research so that, you know, maybe in the future they could do you a recommendation letter. Tip number 2, since we just finished talking about one of my recommendation letters, let's talk about the 3 other ones that I also got. So one of them was from a dentist, the dentist that I actually dental assisted for a few years. The next one was from a science professor. Me and him grew a little more closer than the other professor I asked. Like I said before, it is hard when you go to a very big school to, you know, gain those kinds of relationships with your professor, but definitely try to go to office hours, and definitely a biggie. When you're asking a professor for a recommendation letter, it's good to ask early on before the cycle even begins. I know I asked some of mine in like February or March, so earlier the better, because some of them do only take a certain amount of students for recommendation letters per semester. So definitely keep that in mind. Tip number 3, let's talk about personal statements. I know a lot of us may struggle in this one, or it may be easier for most. But for me, in the beginning when I first started writing it, I had so many drafts that weren't even answering the question, why dentistry? So definitely when you're writing up your personal statement, make sure you're answering the question, why dentistry? This is the part of the application where not just following the requirements and the prereqs. They want to see who you are as a person. For me, I talked about music and how music basically molded me into the person that I am today, and how I did have a huge passion for music growing up. It just wasn't what I saw myself doing. I was indirectly helping people through music, and now I feel like dentistry gives me that opportunity to directly impact people. Music was, you know, a huge part of my life growing up, connecting how I use my hands and manual dexterity to dentistry and like comparing the two. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, is like hobbies that you have to talk about in your personal statement. They say not to talk about anything that is in your application already. So it's good to just kind of give them a unique part of yourself, something that you didn't talk about previously. So definitely keep that in mind when you're writing your personal statement. And then another big thing is I actually use this one book. I actually had this event where Dr. Yang actually came and spoke, and she talked about this book, Your Essential Guide to Dental School Admissions, 30 Successful Application Essays and Collective Wisdom from Young Dentists. So this is just a whole book of a couple different examples of personal statements. I know this definitely helped me when I was writing mine, so definitely look into it. I'll put a link down below if you guys want to check it out. Tip number 4, for those of you that plan on taking your DAT during the summer, for me, I took it during July. It's good to time manage with the whole application process. I know for me, I started submitting all of my grades and all of my transcripts and sending them over for the application around end of May, beginning of June. So you have to remember that your whole application does not get submitted until your DAT score is in. And for me, it took about 2 to 3 weeks for it to completely submit. Admissions were looking at my application until, you know, it was completely submitted the beginning of August. It is good to do it early. Definitely keep that in mind when you are applying and preparing to apply. Tip number 5. Let's talk about the DAT. I know so many people are probably studying right now for it and are super stressed about it, but let me tell you, once you finish it, you feel so much better, so just stay strong and get through it. Always remember that not all schools just look at your DAT. You know, some schools, especially the ones I applied to, they do a holistic review, where basically they don't just focus on your DAT or one aspect of your application. They're going to look at your application as a whole. So keep that in mind. Let's say you don't do so great on your DAT the first time. In the back of your head, you should be telling yourself, hey, maybe I should apply to schools that do more of a holistic review. So definitely do research on some of those universities. I focused on those Midwest schools since I am from the Midwest. I'm from Illinois. And I had great experiences with some of my interviews around here. But if you have any questions about that, please don't hesitate to leave some comments below. But yeah, those are my 5 tips. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want some more content like this, leave some requests down below. Also, you guys can DM me through Instagram. I will leave that also below as well. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.